You finally booked that dream cruise, ocean views, endless buffets, zero emails. You're ready for smooth sailing. But even the most seasoned cruisers still fall into traps that can turn a dream vacation into a logistical nightmare. Whether it's choosing the wrong itinerary, forgetting key documents, or discovering on day 5 that the ship has a sushi bar you never knew existed, it's easy to make mistakes that waste your money, your time, or both. Let's walk through the most common cruise mistakes and how you can avoid them. When your cruise ship finally pulls into a brand new port, the excitement is electric. Sun on your face, the rhythm of steel drums or mariachi music in the distance, every sense comes alive. But that moment can quickly descend into chaos if you step off the gangway with no idea where you're going. A lot of cruisers think they'll just figure it out once they arrive, but ports aren't always conveniently placed next to top attractions. Some of the best beaches or hiking trails can be a 30-minute drive away. In places like Nassau or Falmouth, Jamaica, the best experiences are often tucked far from the immediate port shopping area. If you haven't planned ahead, you might end up scrambling for a taxi, overpaying for a rushed tour, or worse, missing the ship because you misjudged the return time. Cruise lines are punctual to a fault, and they won't wait unless you're on one of their sanctioned excursions. Even a little bit of research, just 10 or 15 minutes per destination, can transform your port day. Read real traveler reviews on Cruise Critic or AllTrails, check travel times on Google Maps before you lose Wi-Fi, or download offline guides using apps like Maps.me. Some ports, like Cozumel, offer easily accessible beaches right off the dock. Others, like St. Kitts or Belize City, require a game plan. And remember, excursions book up quickly, especially those involving wildlife encounters or limited availability tours. Don't leave it to luck when you're spending hundreds per day to be there. Another mistake that still trips up even experienced travelers is underestimating the importance of a passport. Many closed-loop cruises, those that begin and end in the same U.S. port, technically allow U.S. citizens to board with only a government-issued ID and an original birth certificate. But the risk lies in everything that could go wrong after you board. Say you fall ill in Aruba, miss the ship in St. Thomas, or face a family emergency back home mid-cruise. Suddenly you're stranded in a foreign country, and without a passport, you can't fly back to the U.S. by air. The U.S. State Department, in fact, reports over 1,000 emergency repatriation cases from cruises each year, and lacking a passport dramatically complicates that process. In most cases, a valid passport means you're on a plane home within 48 hours. Without it, you're stuck trying to visit a U.S. consulate, file emergency paperwork, and wait, sometimes days, for temporary travel documents. And that's assuming there's even a consulate nearby. For a document that costs around $130 and lasts 10 years. It's a small price for peace of mind and global mobility. Something else that's becoming increasingly valuable in the cruise world is a good travel agent. Yes, even in the age of online booking. Many people assume travel agents are outdated, but cruise-specialized agents are more like personal concierges. Not only do they have access to perks you won't find online, such as onboard credit, discounted gratuities, or complimentary upgrades, but they also monitor pricing. Cruise fares fluctuate like airline tickets, and if your rate drops after booking, a travel agent can often rebook you at the lower price or apply the difference as onboard credit. Beyond the savings, they're your advocate if anything goes wrong. Missed connection, sudden itinerary change, room mix-up? Instead of waiting on hold with the cruise line, you can text your agent and let them fix it. The Cruise Lines International Association reports that nearly 3/4 of cruisers who booked through agents in 2022 rated their experience more highly, and nearly half received added value they wouldn't have known to ask for. Plus, the best part? Agents are usually paid by the cruise line, not you. Of course, none of this matters much if you're booked on the wrong itinerary altogether. One of the most common regrets new cruisers have is realizing midway through the ports they chose don't match their travel style. A week of back-to-back beach stops might sound relaxing, but if you're someone who thrives on culture, architecture, or culinary exploration, that repetitive rhythm can start to wear thin. Likewise, a Baltic or Mediterranean itinerary full of walking tours and museums might feel exhausting to someone who just wanted a casual poolside escape. Every cruise line offers a wide variety of itineraries, and within that, every port has its own vibe. Nassau is great for sun and sand, while places like San Juan or Cartagena pack in history and charm. The key is to pick an itinerary where you look forward to every stop. Start by watching walkthrough videos of each destination on YouTube or vlogs from actual cruisers. There's no better way to preview what you're signing up for, and don't be afraid to skip the cheapest cruise if it's not one you're excited about. Value isn't just about price, it's about experience. While most cruisers put plenty of thought into choosing their ship, they often overlook something just as important: choosing the right stateroom. It's tempting to grab the cheapest inside cabin you can find. After all, you're not planning to spend much time there, right? But cabin location can dramatically affect your comfort. Forward cabins at the bow and aft cabins at the back experience the most motion, which can make you feel seasick even in calm waters. Cabins directly beneath public areas like the gym, nightclub, or pool deck may come with early morning or late night noise. And while inside cabins are budget-friendly, spending several days without a window can mess with your sleep or make the room feel smaller than it is. Seasickness affects about 1 in 4 cruise passengers at some point, according to data from the CDC, especially during open ocean sailings like transatlantic crossings or Alaskan routes in early spring. Midship cabins on lower decks are naturally more stable, making them a great choice for first-time cruisers or anyone prone to motion sensitivity. And if you want some fresh air and personal space, a balcony cabin can make your trip feel infinitely more luxurious, especially during scenic sail-ins like Santorini or the fjords of Norway. In short, it's not just about getting on the ship. It's about setting yourself up to love every minute you're on board and beyond. Cruising can be one of the most relaxing, enriching, and exciting ways to travel, but only if you prepare like a pro. And it starts with knowing how to avoid the little decisions that snowball into major regrets. Another misstep that quietly sabotages the cruise experience: not budgeting at least one evening to enjoy specialty dining. Sure, cruise fares include meals in the main dining room and buffet, and to be fair, the food in those venues is usually solid. But many cruise lines, especially the big players like Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, and Celebrity, have dramatically upped their culinary game in recent years, investing in partnerships with Michelin-starred chefs and opening premium restaurants on board. Chops Grill, Izumi, Giovanni's Table, and Chef's Table are just a few examples of venues where you'll find restaurant-quality experiences that far exceed what's served in the main dining room. The difference isn't just in the food. It's in the ambiance: private seating, multi-course tasting menus, wine pairings, personalized service. It turns a regular cruise night into a memory. And the pricing, typically between $30 and $70 per person, depending on the restaurant. For a special occasion, that's often cheaper than a comparable meal on land. And here's a tip many cruisers don't know: if you book your specialty dining package before the cruise, rather than waiting until you're on board, you'll usually save 20% to 30%. Plus, midweek reservations often have more availability and fewer crowds. Just one splurge night can completely reframe your perception of cruise dining. Another subtle mistake, especially among first-time cruisers, is booking the wrong ship. Yes, even within the same cruise line, experiences can vary wildly depending on which vessel you sail. Take Royal Caribbean, for example. Ships like Symphony of the Seas or Wonder of the Seas are essentially floating cities with water parks, zip lines, Broadway-caliber shows, and robot bartenders. In contrast, older ships like Enchantment of the Seas or Grandeur of the Seas offer a quieter, more traditional cruise atmosphere. That can be perfect for older couples or solo travelers looking for a peaceful experience, but disappointing for families with kids expecting nonstop action. A 2023 report by Cruise Market Watch revealed that 52% of negative reviews on family cruise forums weren't about the cruise line, but the ship itself. That's because many passengers assume all ships in a fleet are the same, when in fact their size, onboard features, and crowd dynamics vary drastically. When in doubt, start with mid-range ships like Freedom Class or Voyager Class vessels. They strike a good balance, big enough for entertainment and amenities, but not so massive that you need a GPS to find your stateroom. Another area where planning makes a major difference: shore excursions. Cruise lines are great at selling official excursions. You book them through the cruise website. They're guaranteed to return to the ship on time, and if something goes wrong, the cruise line has your back. But that convenience often comes at a price, literally. Third-party excursions offered through companies like Shore Excursioneer, Viator, and even local operators you can find via Google or TripAdvisor often offer better value and more intimate group sizes. For example, a whale-watching tour in Juneau booked through the cruise line might run $150 per person and include 50 guests. The same tour booked directly with a local operator could be $90 with only 15 people on the boat. Of course, the key trade-off is safety. If you're doing an activity that cuts close to sail-away time, it's safest to book through the cruise line. But for beach days, cultural walking tours, or early morning hikes, local operators often provide a more personal and less rushed experience. Plus, supporting local businesses directly contributes to the economies of these port communities. Speaking of spending, another mistake that happens more than you'd think is accidental double tipping. On cruise ships, gratuities are almost always included automatically, either as a daily per-person charge, usually between $16 to $20 per day, or as part of your drink or dining bill. Yet many receipts on board still leave a blank line for additional tip. It's a psychological nudge that encourages tipping again, even though you've already tipped. Over the course of a 7-night cruise, those extra tips can add up to hundreds of dollars, especially if you're buying drinks or specialty coffees frequently. While it's always okay to tip extra for outstanding service, it should be intentional, not accidental. Before your trip, check your cruise line's gratuity policy. Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Princess, and Celebrity all add automatic tips, and drinks usually have an 18% gratuity baked in. That means your $13 mojito is actually costing $15.34. And any additional tip is just that, extra. One mistake that's potentially far more expensive than all the others combined? Flying in on the day your cruise departs. Veteran cruisers have a saying, ships wait for no one. And it's true, unlike airlines, cruise ships operate on strict departure schedules regulated by port authorities and international logistics. If your flight is delayed due to weather, mechanical issues, or airport congestion, the ship won't wait. A 2022 analysis by FlightAware revealed that nearly 20% of U.S. domestic flights are delayed by 15 minutes or more. And that's before you add checked baggage, security lines, and customs for international arrivals. Even if your morning flight lands on time, one hiccup in baggage claim or rideshare pickup can derail your cruise. The better approach is to arrive at your cruise port city the night before departure. Many cruisers book a hotel near the port and enjoy a stress-free evening, maybe even getting in some sightseeing or a nice dinner. It's the difference between sprinting through the terminal and sipping coffee by the pool on embarkation day. And while you may have packed perfectly for style, formal wear, flip-flops, resort chic, it's surprisingly easy to forget practical essentials that will cost you big if you have to buy them on board. A simple bottle of sunscreen that costs $6 at your local pharmacy might go for $17.99 plus tax in the cruise gift shop. Motion sickness bands, toothpaste, feminine hygiene products, backup glasses. These aren't just forgotten items, they're markups waiting to happen. Cruise ship convenience stores are small and expensive for a reason. They know people will forget. The best solution is to build a master packing checklist and stick to it. Include basics like sunscreen, medications, aloe vera gel, hand sanitizer, bug spray, and even a small amount of laundry detergent if you're planning to pack light. And remember, many ships don't sell over-the-counter medications like you'd find at Walgreens or Boots. So if you rely on allergy pills or specific brands, pack them ahead of time.